Now, I know what you're saying, because I'm hiding under your bed. You're saying nothing, just staring blankly at your screen, wondering if you should go and get something to eat. Fortunately for you, I'm about to open a can of whoop-ass and serve a ton of knuckle sandwiches. The rules are simple: punch good, everything else bad. Of course, this being a space game, I will unfortunately have to use the pew-pew guns on the ship. I can avoid most of the space fights by fast travelling away as soon as I enter the area, but it's not possible in one instance. If you think that means I've failed the challenge, feel free to dislike the video. But before I can go around causing mayhem, I need to touch the shiny thing, have an accident, and create our character. Since I'm going to be punching people, I've gone with Bouncer as our background, and my traits are Introvert as I can't have a companion since they shoot things, Terra Firma for the buffed stats on planets, and Wanted for the extra damage at low health. Plus, for some reason, I'm yet to have any mercenaries come attack me. Last but not least, I needed a name, and I went with Mr. Fister. I woke up to Lynn telling me I had passed out after touching the object and that the buyer is here. While heading to the door, I decided to assert my dominance by stealing a sandwich.
Hey, that was my sandwich!
I went outside to meet the buyer, a man named Barrett, who was nice enough to bring along some friends, which allowed me to try out my punching abilities. I learned very quickly guns do more damage to me than my punches do to other people. Guess I best hit the gym real soon. I spoke to Barrett after I relocated his friends to the afterlife. He told me I was now part of something called Constellation and that I needed to head there with no deviations. So I landed on another planet before going to the lodge. I needed to kill some pirates. For some reason, Vasco was making shooty sounds but not shooting, so the element of surprise was completely lost. After I punched up some pirates, I went to meet Brogan, who I presume is the captain? Anyway, I managed to persuade him to leave us alone. I got back to the lodge and spoke to Sarah about what happened. I added my piece to their collection and it started floating around. I collected the magazine that was there. I don't need it, but I won't say no to 5% less full damage. I leveled up and put a point into boost pack training. I'll need that for some free credits. While at the lodge, I went downstairs and stole a pretty decent spacesuit that would accompany me through the entire playthrough. Now to fix the issue of health. Since I need to heal almost constantly, I'll need as many med packs as possible. But for that, I need credits. That's where the jetpack comes in handy. We're going under the map to steal from the ship service vendor. Now it's off to Jameson Mercantile with our free 72,000 credits. I'm going to use the waiting bug so I don't have to run back and forth to the bench. Just sit down then get up at the same time as pressing the wait button. You should get a wait prompt on your screen. Just go up, buy some med packs, wait 24 hours, then rinse and repeat. Next we need to do something about the lack of damage I do and the minuscule amount of health I have. Luckily, both can be handled by leveling ourselves up. Even luckier, that can be done by making loads of magnets. I'm attracted to this method because I'm lazy and I might have some metal in me. Now that I've got some levels, I best get doing some missions. Sarah has asked me to speak to her contact. He says we need to go and speak to a Vanguard volunteer named Moera who has our artifact. So it's off to Cydonia to get what's mine. I spoke to Jack. He said Moera had gone off on patrol and hadn't come back. He wouldn't give me any more information, so I had to pay Moera's tab. All he said was that he might be on Venus. So much for useful information. I skimmed past the satellite so I didn't get attacked in space, headed to the Nova Galactic Star Yard and docked with it. Once aboard, I somehow got between a gang war, Spacers versus Ecliptics. Once I had cleared them both out, I collected the audio log which said he was in fact on Neptune. Now, I'm not counting this as me killing someone with the ship, as I didn't destroy it, I just damaged it enough to get on board. Since I don't like Sarah, I made sure to show my distaste for her by giving her a few love taps. She then spoke to me about it being more comfortable inside the ship, so I gave her one more bop, since it wasn't my ship she was actually complimenting. I cleared Moera's ship of enemies, rescued him, then took his hood ornament and headed back to the lodge. Only after doing all the hard work myself, Sarah invited me to be a part of her silly little group as a full member. Can you see why I don't like her? Sarah told me to go to the Eye to speak to a man named Vladimir about finding more artifacts. But before I did that, I went to Aquila City to take some items out of the easy to grab vendor chests and pick up the skill magazine that gives you 5 kilograms extra carry weight. It wasn't needed, but I needed to do something to take my mind off of how much I dislike Sarah. As soon as I entered the Eye, I went straight to the gym to pick up the next magazine to increase my carrying capacity by 5 kilograms. I know, I don't need it, but man, do I hate Sarah. I walked up to Vladimir and he called me a rook. He will pay for that later. No one calls me names and gets away with it. Well, some people do. But not people in tank tops, because tank is shit, and so is Sarah. Anyway, tank guy told me to check out a lead and to keep an eye out for Matteo and Andreja whilst I was out and about. Unlike Sarah, Andreja is decent, a warped moral compass, and a personality that rivals my faulty boiler. She's my kind of woman. Once I landed on Nescio, definitely butchered that, I went on a mad dash to kill everyone and get into the mine. Now, you could also say I failed here, since I used the computer to make the turrets fight for me, but as you'll see at the end of the video, not a single kill came from anything other than Mr. Fister's mighty fists of right finger trink. Why did I do this? Why? From anything other than Mr. Fister's mighty fists of right trigger finger crippling carpal tunnel inducing fury. Oh my god. As I worked my way down into the mine, I started to get a little cocky, thinking I was Conor McGregor, but as I got further and further down into the mine, reality, the cruel mistress she is, decided to put a level 24 pirate marauder in my way, and I came to the very quick realization that really I was just KSI winning by split decision. On my way out of the mine, there was one more enemy, so I decided to be a little scummy and increase my boost pack skill by hiding near him and flying. Heading to the next mine, I did the very important thing of collecting yet another skill magazine because I wanted a little more control over my mining tool. Nothing to do with stupid Sarah. Sprinting over to the entrance, my intrusive thoughts almost got the better of me. I wanted to pull the alarm, but I remember my headmistress at primary school telling us that if someone pulled it and there wasn't a fire, they'd go to prison. I know that's not true, I'm 26 for crying out loud. But just in case it's true, I played it safe and went into the mine. Oh god, she knows I wanted to pull it. Oh, it's just Andreja. I identified myself as Mr. Fister and told her I wouldn't harm her. Despite my name, she believed me and we progressed into the mine together. Now, having just fought a tough level 24 mini-boss, I wasn't taking any risks, so I turned on the robot to help me. We got through a lot of them, but of course, there happened to be a spacer down there who gave me a hard time, but I got through him and collected the artifact. As always, it's back to the lodge to place the artifacts in the spinny ball thing. I decided to try and start a competition with Matteo, but Noel wasn't having any of it. Oh, and on my way out, I had to show Vasco who was boss. Silly tin can. The only robot that can annoy me is Claptrap. What's that, Vasco? Only 3% of people watching are subscribed? Since I had many problems with higher level enemies, I did some more leveling. I started at level 14 and ended at 23. I go back to speak to Vladimir on the Eye, who did his bestest Stevie Wonder impression. Okay, so I'm going to skip a massive chunk here because it's pretty much the same thing over and over. I go to a temple, get a power. I am, however, going to show you a very sped up clip of me messing up a Terramorph just before I got another power. I go back to Vectera to speak to Lynn. She asked me to try and get some data from the computer. I smashed through it and headed off to Altair to save Hela, then to Bezel 3 to save Barrett. By this point, you can tell I got really sick of how slow things were, so I ran straight in to persuade the guy to let Barrett go, but only once I'd listened to them talk about unicorns.
Unicorn. Not kidding.
What? The mythical mare with the magic horn thing? Come on.
I took Sam Coe to Aquila to get the maps from his daddy, but first someone had been playing too much Payday 3, so I chose violence and punched them all to death. After that, Sam and I found a tape that had been left in a safety deposit box. We spoke to his papa. I persuaded him to give the maps to Sam, then we left to punch some wildlife. The map led us to another artifact, but unfortunately the Shore gang was there, so I had to fist them all good and proper before I could try and grip it with my now filthy hands. I gripped it tight and ran back outside, but Shore from Shore's gang was waiting outside for me. Walter wanted me to meet him in Neon to rob a guy. I'll spare you the long story that had me crawling through vents like some weird Hitman knockoff. I locked the doors, took the artifact, got the Neon security to tell the weird guy to just leave me alone. Nicholas impounded my ship. Walter struck up a deal with him, then told me to spare Musgrove's life. I punched him in the head for even thinking I would be that nice, so I ended Musgrove's life by ploughing my fist into his head. As we flew away from Neon, a ship named Helix tried to scare us off. Not gonna happen. I flew away, definitely not after failing once. Again, back to the lodge, told everyone what had happened, collected 2 more artifacts. I went to collect the artifact that Petrov had, but Sam tried to get close to me as soon as we boarded, and I wasn't gonna have that. I punched him, got Petrov to show me his collection. I took what I wanted, beat him up. He called off his troops, but before I left, I had to get revenge for something this guy said to me on another save. So I punched him until he did the forever sleep. All because he said, "Fine, don't talk to me then," on a different save of mine. At least I'm pretty sure it was him. Well, it's too late now anyway. Because I killed that guy, I got a bounty on my head. As soon as I tried to go back to the lodge, UC Sysdef got their grubby mitts on me and tried to make me into a mole. They wanted me to go and join the Crimson Fleet, so I could get close to them and destroy them from the inside. Now I'm not about that. I'm not snitching for the feds, so I did 5 days in the slammer. Once I got out, the world had changed massively. Well, not really. Actually, not at all. Back at the lodge, I found out Barrett got killed on the Eye by the Starborn. I chose to stay and protect the artifacts, so I waited where I knew the hunter would spawn and punched him for 3 minutes straight to allow everyone to escape. But what a surprise, they were all waiting for me, so all that hard work was for nothing. Once I got back from the Eye, Matteo said I should speak to an old guy named Keeper Aquilus because the Starborn said a single word: Unity. Clearly they have no idea about game development. He told me to speak to 2 people, a guy named Singh and a woman named Mirza. Neither of them gave a straight answer, so I went back to Keeper Aquilus and he told me to go to a place called Pilgrim's Rest. I cheated the questionnaire so I could get the book and play with the light. Once I got that done, I headed back. The Helix was waiting for me. They said to come aboard and that it would be a ceasefire meeting. I spoke with the emissary and the hunter. Kinda pointless because I always side with the hunter. He's my kinda guy. After that, I needed a better ship, so I got one, then stole my credits back. Because I can. It's free money. Once I'd gotten my ship, I headed back to the moon, listened to a recording on a pole, stood on top of the pole to get a cool photo, then went to Mars and collected the artifact. And because I can't be bothered fighting things right now, knowing I have a massive fight coming, I just sprinted past all the enemies. Once I left, I chose to side with the hunter, who asked me to go and kill him. Past him? He asked me to kill Keeper Aquilus, and because he's old, he only took a couple punches to the dome. Oh, and Thomas was a witness, and I couldn't risk the feds putting me back in jail again, so he's got to go bye-bye. So I hid him behind the door. I went back to the hunter and told him I had ended Keeper Aquilus, and he gave me a gun, which I promptly threw on the ground, and headed for what is, I think, my favourite quest in the game. I got to teleport through different dimensions, but since the video is going to be long anyway, and this quest takes me about 45 minutes, I can't show it. But trust me, it's pretty cool. Now we're in the end game. I'm going to skip to the end fight since I know probably 5% of you are still here and most of you are asleep. Okay, for some reason, I got through this fight unbelievably quick. I jacked myself up on all sorts of goodies, lost a load of health really quickly, but I got it all back. We get the last pieces and build the armillary, and, as I said, have a look at these stats. 219 melee kills, 0 for everything else, and, you know, the couple ships, but that can't be avoided. And as I walked into the glowy orb to start my life anew, I beat Starfield by only punching things. If you liked the video, be sure to leave a like. If you disliked the video, maybe try watching it again. Make sure to subscribe for more and leave a comment on challenges you'd like me to do in the future. I've been Tulo. Thanks for watching.